There are two sides to every Minecraft player. The side that wants to build beautiful, sprawling wheat fields to frolic through, and the side that wants to build a giant industrial wheat grinder powered by the tears of villagers. But why not both? What if we could blend those two sides and create this perfect yin-yang between aesthetic beauty and functional efficiency? In this video, I set out to build an emerald empire that seamlessly coexists as a humble farm, utilizing new build techniques, quirky game mechanics, automatic farms, and a surprising detail that completely transforms the build. The first step was to find a good place to actually build. I recently built this temple in the mountains for my mending villager, and I think nestling the farm right here in this valley below is a pretty good idea. So I went through placing in a bunch of grass to help smooth out the landscape and make a nice area to build on. The last thing that I want is a gigantic wheat field just sitting on completely flat ground. Yeah, that wouldn't look good. So I'm making sure to add lots of depth and natural slope to things. To make things easier, I've already designed all of the terrain ahead of time, and now I'm using Lightmatica to help build it up. I avoided using this feature called Easy Place Mode for so long because I thought it was cheating, but the reality is Minecraft is a sandbox game, and I'm 30 years old, so I can play how I want. I began installing a winding coarse dirt path, which does two things actually. For starters, it ensures this area is walkable, which is very important, but it also helps define the outer edge of where I'm going to be building today. Considering my goal by the end of this video is to be filthy freaking rich, I should probably explain to you how I plan to do that. So my idea is to use farmer villagers and then trade the crops my farm produces with them for emeralds. Pretty simple, right? Well, not exactly. You see, I recently played around with the idea of using naturally spawned zombie villagers for my stonemason army, and after doing some thinking, I want to stick with that as a rule for my world. No villager breeding. I have plans to build a cool farm that summons loads of zombie villagers, but for now, I'll be spending my evenings looking for some weary travelers who happen to spawn in and need help. Okay, first night of mob hunting, and 0 zombie villagers. That's cool. Why do I make things so hard for myself? Normally, I like to gather all of the materials I need for a build at the beginning, and then just absolutely go through and 3D print my way through the building process. But that can be kind of tedious, and also it's just not as fun. I just love taking a bunch of mini breaks from building to go on side quests and get more materials. I also went through placing in a bunch of moss. I want there to be a lot of large grassy areas mixed in throughout the farmland, and ironically, I think that moss is a better grass texture than grass blocks. Yo, we got our first villager. Let's go, dude. Okay, for now, I'm just going to place you in a boat, put some blocks above you so you don't burn in the sun, and then I will deal with you later. Yep. Oh my god. Oh, what? Dude, I just got another one. This is like 2 minutes later. All right, that brings us up to 2 future farmers. Heck yeah, dude. I pretty much had my work cut out for me at this point, so I spent my days continuing to shape out the terrain, making sure to light up the bottom area to prevent a mob farm from forming, and also taking even more side quests to go block hunting. I needed so much gravel for the coarse dirt path. 2 emeralds, what the frick? Who put these here? You guys put these here? You guys are crazy. Okay, so I just looked it up, and it turns out that zombie villagers can actually spawn in more zombie villagers as reinforcements. Like, there's a small chance. So to test it, I got a nitwit here, and I'm gonna just smack him around a little bit and see what happens. Oh, okay. Well, I just killed that man. Okay, so the main shape of the terrain is all installed, but it looks really weird right now because I have to build up all the rocky formations that actually support it. Now, the block palette I have in mind is really simple. For starters, I'm gonna need some andesite, which I have plenty of. I'll need some pale moss, which I can very easily grab from inside this little cave that I use for moss collection. Next, I need some light gray concrete powder, which is really nice for lighter stone colors. I pretty much just need to grab some more gravel here, slaughter a few squids for black dye, combine that with some white dye for my bone meal farm, a little bit of sand, and there we go. In the last block is some acacia wood, which is just chopping trees. I don't know why this is so funny. Now, I understand these blocks don't make any functional sense being together, but it's way more fun to use building blocks for their shades and colors as opposed to what their functional purpose would be. The light gray concrete powder really helps simulate where the sun would be shining, whereas the pale moss and acacia wood help showcase shadowy, darker bits. It just makes the terrain have so much more interest rather than if it was built out of purely just stone or something. Before long, I went through installing the leftmost edge of the rock formations. These help form the left side bounding box of the build area. Paired with the coarse dirt path at the bottom and the river on the right, I just had to address the top side, which I'll handle soon. You probably can't help but notice that the terrain kind of looks like Swiss cheese right now, and that's because these holes are going to actually hold the water sources for my farmland. I know technically crops can grow without water, but it's really slow, and also it just looks so much better when it's hydrated. To make things easier on myself though, I set off into the nearby mountain range to grab a bunch of regular ice blocks. Each one of these is technically a water source, so they're really convenient to use. What the? Why is there a lava lake here, bro? Like, what? Why? Getting the water sources installed was a pretty straightforward process, meaning I was one step closer to planting this actual crop field. In my opinion, wheat looks the best of any crop, especially with this resource pack I have, but I also want to get a bunch of dry grass farmed up because a friend of mine was telling me recently about how well it goes with wheat, and I think it's going to be sick. I also have a really bad habit of throwing away all of my wheat seeds, so I had to spend an entire night running around farming seeds with my fortune pick like an absolute madman. Ah. No. He just deflected my freaking bow shot. Did you guys see that? I've never showed this guy in a video, but there's one single villager still alive in the nearby village, and this guy is my only source of emeralds right now. So I was able to trade some spare wheat with him to get some emeralds for a mending book on my hoe, and after a quick tool repair at my XP farm, it was time to commence the field planting. Oh man, dude, I'm already out of seeds. Like, that was like 8 stacks. I needed an actual way to get a lot more seeds. And luckily for me, I already have a working bone meal farm, so I wanted to try my hand at making one of those nano crop farms. Every once in a while, I get the urge to try and make a redstone contraption without watching a tutorial, just to prove that I'm not a complete dingus. Gotta put that engineering degree to use, you know what I mean? Yeah, okay, I mean, it's fine. It gets the job done. How to seeds again? Oh my, dude! I'm gonna be farming seeds forever if at this rate. What is the deal? Oh, it looks so good though. Come here, big fella. Why don't you just trample all my crops, why don't you? Yep, come on, trample them away. Now that the big wheat fields are finally installed, it's time to address this upper edge of the terrain. Now my plan is eventually to transform this entire mountain with the temple into custom terrain and blend everything together, but that is not gonna happen in this video. So instead, I'm just gonna install a big, huge wall here for now, which might sound silly, but hear me out. It's super important to have a good understanding of the scope of a project when you're working on something, and by having a literal bounding box and saying, I must build within this area, it prevents me from experiencing scope creep, which is where the scale of the project slowly gets bigger and bigger without you realizing it. And before long, you're burnt out and it's been 4 months since you've uploaded. Besides, this is a really important part of any big project. Like when I was in engineering school, the very first thing we did with our semester projects was define a clear scope, and we had to have weekly meetings with our professor to ensure we stayed on track. This is like half the reason why project managers exist in the real world. But here in my Minecraft world, I'm the project manager. Like, it all comes back to me. So yeah, we get a big deep slate wall, and honestly, it doesn't look that bad. I kind of like it right now. All right, so the terrain is all sorted out now, which is really great. Like, I think it looks so good, but this is just the first step of what I have to do. Right away, I began building up a farmhouse to sit in the middle of the farm. I feel like this grassy area here is just perfect to build on. I was really heavily inspired by this old German farm building sketch that I found online. The bottom section is a deep slate foundation filled with tons of texture, big windows, and even an archway, which I got to use beehives in, and I think it looks super cool. I've recently been falling in love with the exposed copper block, and I want to use the grates for these windows. Unfortunately, though, I still have to manually age all of the copper I use, which is a little tedious, but it's not terrible since I don't really use a ton of it. I built up a little side section to add more interest and serve as a little storage shed for later, and from there, I began building up the main structure. The concept art that I was using was a really simple shape to recreate, but the challenge was that it was a sketch in black and white, so I had to recreate the block palette on my own. I ended up using spruce wood for the big support beams and accenting them with some white mushroom blocks. I still had a ton of these left over from the temple build, and they are such a nice texture, dude. You guys are matching. You're twins. Come here, you weirdos. Stop spitting at my... Hey, stop spitting at my zombies. Hey. Next, it was time to get a roof on this bad boy, and I decided that granite would be a nice block to use. So I spent a while grabbing some of that and getting a bunch more copper to mix in with it. Honestly, the biggest holdup with the copper is not the aging process, but getting enough honeycomb to actually wax it from my kind of crappy bee farm. Bro, where did they go? We lost a brave soldier. I created a balcony on the left side with dark oak hanging signs as a railing, which looks really great. I also went through with a layer of iron bars with black candles on top, which add a lot of depth, especially when you look at it from a distance. Okay, so the exterior is like pretty much done, but it needs one final detail. If you look at the reference, you notice that the support beams also go diagonally, which is really hard to create using full blocks, but that's where banner tech comes in. I've been watching this amazing YouTuber and builder named Sinnoh, and he uses this technique all the time, where you simply use the diagonal banner pattern to add extra support beams to your builds. All right, vision be damned. I'm turning off Fulbright. Let's get a look at this bad boy. I love that so much. Now it's time to start working on the interior of this farmhouse. I'm gonna use the upper floor to house all of my farmer villagers to trade with, but this bottom section is gonna be the control center for my emerald production, and also just house a bunch of really useful auto farms. I really wanna incorporate more foliage like grass, bushes, flowers, and more into my builds, but manually collecting that stuff is really boring. But the good news is that they're super easy and compact to farm. So I spent a good hour or so mining for a bunch of iron and getting the materials around before going through and building each of them up. I ended up making a farm for all of the bone mealable flowers, one for bushes, one for dry grass, and finally one for firefly bushes. All right, there we go. Yeah, man, these are gonna be a huge help for detailing in the world. Now I just gotta decorate this place. Oh yeah, it's looking so nice. But the ceiling, I have an idea for the ceiling. Dude, this ceiling, it looks so nice. Why did nobody tell me that the bottom of the loom is like the best texture in the game? Now I just had to load the farms up with bone meal and give them a test. All right, cool. Yep, firefly bushes are working. Dry grass, yep, seems to be good. The flower farm is doing its thing. And the bush farm, okay, it's not working because it needs way more bone meal, which is a bit of a problem. Pretty much the first auto farm I made in my entire world was this simple bone meal maker, but I'm gonna need a lot more than this thing can produce to sustain all of these farms, especially because there's still one more farm I plan to build later in the video that uses a ton more bone meal. Now the good news is that you can actually just stack multiple modules of this same farm on top of each other to increase production, but the bad news is that I didn't give myself enough space to do that. So I spent a while clearing a massive area next to the original farm and building up an additional module. Okay, fine, 2 modules. All right, you got me. I built up 3 modules, okay? Sue me, we're doing triple the bone meal today. I'm sacrificing the poopy bone meal farm for the greater good of the fast bone meal farm. Yes. Nah, I'm just kidding. We're gonna use all 4 of these guys. And it's a little bit janky, but now I'm gonna go through and try and install some water streams. I really want all the bone meal to end up in one place, and I don't wanna have to come here to get it. So I figured, why not just try and move it over to the farmhouse? All right, boom, we've made it to the surface. Now we just gotta install a water elevator. There we we go. Now I'll build some chunk loaders with the help of some ender pearl stasis chambers. Oh, I love these things. Oh my god, it's working, dude. Yes! I'm also going to install a crafting system to make bone blocks, since I have 4 bone meal farms feeding this area. And just like that, the bone meal problem has been solved. The next day, I set out on a mission to get one final foliage block to help with my building. Regular grass. This stuff is notoriously annoying to farm because whenever you bone meal it, flowers spread. However, there are a few biomes where this doesn't happen, one of which being mountains, which I have no shortage of. All right, as long as it says snowy slopes up there, only grass should grow in, which is gonna be so convenient. Let's see, does this work? Yeah, I think it actually does. I don't want any more comments telling me to go touch grass, because I'm touching a lot of grass, okay? I spent my afternoon going through adding in all of the new foliage to my grassy area. It's honestly amazing how much this one detail really just elevates a build and makes it feel alive. I also went through and added in some fences to kind of create a border along the pathway throughout the farm. I'm so in love with how this farm looks, but it's kind of failing at the premise right now. It doesn't make me any emeralds. It's all just a facade right now. So let's change that. So I want to start off by making a pumpkin melon farm down here in the basement of the farmhouse. I really like these things because they're super easy to make and they kind of just run forever once you install them. I think I know how to build this from memory, so I'm going to start off by making some powered rails down here. These are going to actually collect everything. Okay, awesome. Now let's power them, build up some storage, and yeah, I think it works. Cool. Okay, so above that, we're going to actually grow in the melons and pumpkins. And I don't know why, but if you alternate placing them, I think they grow faster. Because science. Okay, we need some observers facing down to see when things grow in, a bit of redstone on top, some full blocks, and finally some downward facing pistons. Oh, okay, it's fine. I spent some time building up the other side and then doing some really simple interior decorating. It's not fancy, but I wanted the area to kind of blend into the current vibe. And the moment of truth, does this work? Yes, dude, it looks like it does. Hell yeah. From there, I got to work building up the final farm of this video. Simply another nano crop farm. I know, it's not the most extravagant thing, but once I cure all the zombie villagers that I have, I'm gonna get insane discounts. So really, I just need a quick way to get a bunch of crops, and this is it. All right, the moment of truth, you guys. It is villager curing time. Okay, so let's grab our golden apples. We'll steal some weakness potions from up here, and here goes nothing. Yo, what's up, guys? How you doing? No, stop that. Ooh, okay, you're a nitwit, but luckily for you, I'm not gonna kill you because somebody left a good comment on my last video and they were saying I can use you to power my iron farm, which I need to build still. I decided the best way to move the villagers would be to leave them in boats and then just simply pull them along with leads up through the side balcony I made. Okay, I think they're up here. Now I think if I just place down some workstations, they should pathfind in, right? Yeah, it looks like they do. Cool. Oh man, I'm gonna be so freaking rich, dude. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, let's farm a bunch of carrots and potatoes. I think that's our best bet. And let's just start trading, dude. Ooh, that's not really that cheap. I thought that would be cheaper. Okay, so there seems to be a bit of a hole in my plan. I completely forgot that Mojang nerfed zombie villagers being cured in a recent update. This is a bit of a bummer because I can no longer trade 1 carrot or 1 potato for an emerald. But even so, after going through and trading all my pumpkins and melons, I had almost a full stack of emerald blocks, which is actually really good. Before I finish up though, I want to turn my attention back to the outside. I feel like this area is lacking just a little bit of life, so I want to try and build up some custom trees here. I've always hated building trees in my world because I thought the end product never justified just how tedious they are to create, but recently I've been super inspired to give it another go. I watched this video from Beans and Apples where they went through the process of recreating a tree they saw in the real world in their Minecraft world, and the end result is so freaking cool. I really think some tall pine and birch trees would look really cool scattered throughout this area, so I found some good references online and started mocking up some designs in a testing world. I I think it's time we go find our happy gas. I think he's somewhere here in the mountains. Come on, Judge Judy. It's time to get back to work, my guy. I really tried to make some of these trees bigger than I thought they needed to be. When the whole forest is in place, I really want to feel small, like I'm surrounded by this dense foliage. All right, the first tree is in, and oh, I like this. Yeah, this is looking good. But right away, I was noticing a problem. I don't really like the happy gas, I'm learning. Yeah, like he's so slow and awkward, and I can't reach the ground. It's not really good for building, I'm finding. So I'm gonna go do the thing that I've been avoiding for nearly 600 in-game days, and I'm gonna go get an elytra, purely so I can build trees easier. I think that's justified. So I think the fortress is this way, if my memory serves right. Okay, so the stronghold is this way, and the reason I already know that is because I already went there a long time ago to collect all of the bookshelves in its library. Oh, hell yeah, dude, an unbreaking book. That's perfect. Yeah, if you can't tell, I just watched the Nutcracker. It was awesome. All right, let's get our mending and unbreaking books on the wings. There we go. And now I can actually start building trees for real this time. I spent the next few hours going through building up a ton of trees. I really tried making them with differing heights to show that the forest is alive and always changing. I also really wanted to build a small wishing well behind the house. I've been playing through the old Zelda games, and they always use these wells as little pathways into secret areas. So let me know if you have any ideas for that. I am so happy with how this area has turned out, and honestly, it just has me more excited to keep expanding this world and building more. So if you have any ideas for things I should create, please let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next year.